Energy and energy efficiency are big topics in the UK as we head into 2011. Across the globe, we are all looking for ways to improve our lifestyle in relation to energy and save some money while we do so. The Energy Saving Trust is a non-profit organisation that provides free and impartial advice on how to stop wasting energy and start saving money.
I think people are making the link between energy efficiency and saving money. Energy prices are going up, so we've all seen our energy bills rising over the last few years. So people are becoming more aware that energy efficiency is a great way to save money.
The Energy Saving Trust is the leading organisation in the UK that helps homeowners save energy. By saving energy, you're saving money off your fuel bills and you're reducing your impact on the environment. So it's our job to make people aware that they can save energy and that they can save themselves money off their ever-increasing fuel bills. And having made them aware, it's up to us to tell them exactly what they can do in their home and answer any questions that they may have.
Since the Industrial Revolution, the world has been reliant on fossil fuels to power transport, heat buildings and advanced technology. The first steam-powered trains through to the newest airplanes have all relied on fossil fuels, non-renewable and polluting. In fact, around 85% of the world's primary energy consumption comes from fossil fuels. Natural processes such as photosynthesis or absorption by the oceans can cope with around 10 billion tonnes of carbon dioxide every year. We currently produce 21.3 billion. In 2009, world energy consumption decreased by 1.1%. That's the first time in 30 years that it had done so. It's a promising start, but there is so much more that can be done, and done easily. There are three main fossil fuels that are used for energy: oil, coal and gas. These fuels are controlled by energy companies and distributed nationwide through the national grid. However, some homes and businesses are unable to access any energy this way. Calagas provides a solution.
Calagas has been supplying energy to rural areas since 1935, when we first started supplying a low-carbon, efficient but portable energy supply. We are effectively gas for non-mains gas areas. Increasingly recently, certainly over the past 10 or 15 years, using energy efficiently within the home, within the business, has become a great priority for the customers and for Calagas. So not only are we concentrating on supply of gas, we are increasingly involved in bringing new and effective and low-cost appliances to the marketplace. It's very important that people use energy efficiently. It is a scarce resource. There is the climate change issue, of course, and carbon dioxide emissions. It is going to be an increasingly expensive resource. A third of all emissions in this country come from the household, a third from business, a third from transport. So most certainly, if we can do things to reduce emissions within business, if people in the home can do things to reduce their emissions, we can, between us, make a huge difference to efficient energy usage, but also carbon dioxide emissions within this country. LPG is gas for non-mains gas areas. The thing about LPG propane is that it compresses very easily into a liquid and therefore is ideal for cylinders or tanks, which means you can take the energy to the customer. One of the weak areas of UK energy production is electricity. We have actually one of the most polluting electricity systems in the whole of Europe. That's because we're burning lots of coal, we're burning lots of gas, and we burn it in huge power stations such as Drax. You'll have seen as you drive up past Leeds, 4 huge cooling towers which are just dumping heat into the air. Using the fossil fuel, making electricity, dumping the heat, and that's about 60% of all the energy there, and then transferring that electric to the home. It makes eminent more sense to take the fossil fuel and use it in the home. So one of the technologies that Calagas have been heavily investing in is micro combined heat and power. This allows the customer to have where the boiler would be their own generation station. It's a bit like when computers first came in. We used to have the great big computer that we're all linked into, which is what the power stations are. Now we have a little laptop, our own personalised power on our desk. And in the same way we've got used to generating heat in our home, very soon we'll get used to generating heat and electricity in our home. And of course then, all the heat that is made by making electricity is used for you, for your hot water, for your home. And of course, that's a much lower carbon dioxide emitting solution and a much more efficient solution, a much better use of energy than using coal or gas in a power station and losing 60% of the heat, which of course you pay for. At the end of the day, you pay for electricity, what it's cost to generate from the fossil fuel it started from.
For the homes in the UK that are off the mains gas grid, if their home's being heated by electricity, oil or coal, that'll be producing more carbon dioxide than if it's heated by LPG gas.
Once energy has reached the home in the form of electricity or gas, it is then distributed to appliances and systems that require it. It is at this micro level of energy consumption that small changes can make a big difference.
Because for a long time in this country we have had access to North Sea gas. That's starting to reduce now, but we are still a very, very strong gas-driven market. Gas technology within Europe, most certainly within this country, is advancing rapidly. There are almost 3 steps to this. The first is the condensing boiler. This is a technology that's been around for a good 15, 20 years. What it does is it condenses the heat in the emissions coming out of the boiler and recovers that heat, which means a condensing boiler is 85% or above efficient in use. Great step forward, and very few homes relative to the 22, 23 million homes in the UK actually have a condensing boiler yet, and yet they can make a big difference. The next step is when you start bringing in the micro combined heat and power side, when you have a heat-driven engine, a Stirling engine as this is called, combined with the boiler. So the heat from the boiler also drives a little engine that makes electricity, makes very efficient, low-carbon electricity within the home. This technology has just come onto the marketplace. Stirling engine boiler it's called, and it's available to the household now, and it just literally fits where your boiler is. You take your boiler down and you put this on, and you're generating both heat, which you're used to, and electricity. The next generation are fuel cells. Right now, even with the Stirling engine, it's still a boiler, it's burning things. A fuel cell is a chemical plant, and therefore fits just where your boiler would go in the same way, but it is using energy enormously efficiently. It generates 1 kilowatt of electricity to 1 kilowatt of heat. So even in the summer when you're just needing your hot water, it will generate a lot of electricity. Indeed, a fuel cell, by 2013, when the first one comes onto the market, will be able to generate 80% of the electric requirements within your house, which it's a game-changing technology that will change the way that we use fuel and have a relationship to fuel and heat within our own homes.
When buying goods and products and appliances for their homes, people are definitely more aware of their energy consumption. Because yeah, there's the upfront cost of whatever it is you're buying, but then you also need to consider the running costs, and people are more aware of it because electricity and gas prices are just going up and up and up.
On a household level, there are lots of technologies now for producing electricity or heat or both in the home.
There are lots of ways in which you can save energy around the home. Additionally, you can do simple things like switching off your lights and not leaving your equipment on standby.
The standard approach for the majority of buildings across the UK is for an energy supply to power all of the plug sockets in a home, whilst another energy supply powers the heating and hot water systems. Space heating, heating the air in our homes, is responsible for the highest domestic energy cost. The best energy is free energy, and the strongest source of energy in the solar system is the sun. Navitron offer an easy solution for heating your hot water whilst lowering utility bills and saving energy.
Navitron was started in 2004, and the reason we started Navitron was we realised that there was a big gap in the market in terms of renewables, that the savings that you could make by installing renewables back in 2004 was relatively minimal, but at the same time the cost of the equipment required was very high. And so we realised that in order to start the market in the UK, we needed to be able to offer good quality equipment at good prices, and that way hopefully people would then see a real reason for getting involved in renewables. So instead of driving the prices in terms of what we felt we ought to make from a profit point of view, we decided we'd look from a customer's perspective and try and price the products in accordance to what the savings would be. Navitron has tried to cover the entire range of renewables, so we get involved in all sorts of technologies. Solar water heating is probably the biggest technology for us, but since the introduction of feed-in tariffs back in April last year, solar PV has also become a major market for us. Lesser markets include wind turbines, hydro turbines, and also heat pumps. So they are more specialist technologies because they require specialist situations. You have to have a suitable water course for a water turbine. You have to be in a suitable location with enough wind to get a wind turbine to work effectively. So although we do try and cover the entire range of renewables, the major markets for us are the solar water heating and the solar PV because they appeal to virtually everybody. Everybody has a suitable roof, which is okay for putting that sort of technology on. It's a relatively small footprint on one's roof, and even with only a couple of square metres of a solar water heating panel, it allows you to generate a good proportion of the water heating requirements that you have in a property. Solar PV has become a good market, but it's mainly because of the feed-in tariff that the government is offering currently. That gives an artificial incentive to get involved in really a very highly priced technology. PV is still very expensive. The returns are very good on PV, but because you're talking about committing yourself to maybe £8,000 or £15,000 worth of equipment, even if the payback period is very short, it's currently between 7 and 9 years, it is often beyond the pocket of the general public. The nice thing about solar water heating is because the cost is relatively low compared with PV, and because you are able to generate a relatively high proportion of your hot water requirements, it is much more accessible to the majority of people.
Join us after the break for more hints and tips on how to save energy in your home.
EcoFlap, part of a whole letterbox system, is a draft stopper for your existing letterbox. Fitted on the inside of your door, it'll stop drafts but not your mail. Has no springs or brushes, in fact nothing to trap the mail. It uses gravity and any wind to keep shut, and won't blow open even in strong gales. The automatic adjustable opening enables up to a Yellow Pages directory and A4 in width to be delivered, plus retrofits a very small letterbox to just over the standard size. Stop sneaky letterbox drafts filtering through. These not only attack you, but also a nearby thermostat. This'll kick your boiler into action and unnecessarily raise your house temperature, which you'll be paying for. EcoFlap will save you energy costs, fits easily, giving effective immediate benefit at no expense of changing your complete letterbox system.
If you're not on mains gas, you really should talk to those clever people at Cala. As well as burying your new fuel tank so it doesn't spoil the view, they'll give it a brain so it calls for its own top-up. Ah, here he comes. That way, you're free to just relax and enjoy the benefits of gas. Along with the knowledge you could soon even be generating your own electricity. It's more than LPG. It's LP Genius from Cala.
In 2004, Navitron pioneered affordable solar installations. Today, Navitron is one of the largest and best-known solar companies in the UK, selling over 500 installations each month. Our high-efficiency evacuated tubes will cut your hot water bill in half, providing free hot water even on the coldest days. And our PV systems make electricity bills a thing of the past. Even a modest-sized system could earn you £1,500 per year, whilst providing you with free solar electricity. That's a return of 11%, tax-free. Not bad, while saving the planet. Whether you're based in Land's End or John O'Groats, whether you want solar hot water or solar electricity, we can install an affordable solution. For more information or to arrange a free site visit, call us or visit our website. Navitron Solar Technology. Affordable, reliable, renewable.
If you're not on mains gas, you really should talk to those clever people at Cala. As well as burying your new fuel tank so it doesn't spoil the view, they'll give it a brain so it calls for its own top-up. Ah, here he comes. That way, you're free to just relax and enjoy the benefits of gas. Along with the knowledge you could soon even be generating your own electricity. It's more than LPG, it's LP Genius from Cala.
For over 150 years now, there has been a dramatic rise in domestic energy consumption, until the year 2001. However, since that time, we in the UK have seen a decrease in energy usage, due to increasingly efficient products and greater carbon footprint awareness. And in that time, natural gas use has increased fourfold and helped to reduce emissions. It is still a carbon-producing fossil fuel, but is much cleaner than oil or coal. It's used to create electricity in power plants and for cooking and heating in the home. However, it is still not being employed anywhere near as efficiently as it can be. A new concept from Cala Gas can help increase that efficiency.
Energy and efficient energy usage and responsible low carbon energy usage is hugely important for Cala Gas. It's equally important in the home. 30% of all emissions in this country come from the home. 30% from business, 30% from home, 30% from transport. So you can make a big difference in your own home. And actually, it's not all that hard. There's almost basic steps to it. First thing, look for drafts. The home can be actually quite warm, but if you get drafts coming in through the doors, through the windows, you feel cold and you tend to turn up the heating. So look for those drafts. They're easily excluded with draft excluders and so on. Secondly, one of the things that really works when you talk to heating consultants about giving advice into big hotels and big business, they say just put up notices on the wall saying switch things off. Even in business, how often do you switch off your computer or your photocopier? And these are enormous uses of energy. Within your own home, there's lights, there's TVs, there's radios, there's things that you have on standby. And just getting into that mentality of saying, we're in this room, are the lights outside this room that can be switched off? Are there things that are running perhaps on standby that we don't require that can be switched off? And that can actually make an enormous difference to the carbon dioxide emissions of a home. You combine that with the technology we've been talking about, such as micro-combined heat and power, and for a typical home, just doing those things, making sure you've got the right heating technology with the right home system. It's important that you have both. You can halve the amount of carbon dioxide that a typical house is putting out. It can have that much of an effect.
For people who are off the grid, and it's surprising how many people are off the grid in the UK, for example, there are people off the grid right in the middle of Birmingham, which is quite surprising. But for people who are off the grid, obviously any requirements which involve heating are a large drain on their resources. If you are generating your power from battery banks which are maybe topped up with generators, if you then start putting heavy loads like water heating on them, it makes a big difference. It's very difficult for them to do. It's an expensive way of using energy. So obviously you take something which is very easy to do. We're using vacuum tube technology. It's very effective. And you can generate your heat on pretty much most of the days of the year. Certainly half the year you can be exclusively running from solar water heating. The other half of the year you'll make a good proportion of your heat from your solar water heating panels. Solar thermal technology centres around obviously a solar collector. They're called collectors because they collect the energy available from sunlight. The traditional solar water heating collector would be a flat plate. Flat plates work very well under conditions of high sunshine and high temperatures. However, realistically, we don't enjoy those conditions very often in the UK. So there is a much better technology which is known as evacuated tube technology. And these are very similar to thermos flasks. So once the heat is absorbed there, the heat is very much contained within the flask, and the only way the heat can come out is via the collector itself. So the collector absorbs the sunshine very efficiently, typically about 93% efficiently. It only re-emits about 7% of that energy. So you have a very efficient system that will work even in overcast conditions, even on cloudy days. But the nice thing about heating your hot water with solar is it's very easy to do, and most importantly, there's no sacrifice in lifestyle. And a lot of people, they're quite keen on renewables as long as they don't have to change their habits. Of course, there is obviously big savings to be had in terms of energy saving and also cost saving by changing habits. So, for example, not running the water excessively when you're washing your hands, but also by turning the thermostat down, and all the various things that organisations like the Energy Saving Trust will advise you to do.
So government is bringing in policies that are designed to help us use energy efficiently in our house and reduce our carbon dioxide. One of them is a smart meter policy you'll have seen an awful lot about, and increasingly will, that will allow you to be able to measure exactly the energy your house is using in terms of electricity. The other is the government is trying to incentivise and support low carbon technologies. So with micro CHP, for instance, micro combined heat and power, you can actually get paid by the government to generate electricity in your house. So you actually get paid to generate it.
Micro combined heat and power, or micro CHP, that works just like a boiler in your home, but the heat that's generated when the boiler is heating your home is used to generate electricity. So you've got a mini power station in your house as well.
Micro combined heat and power is a new technology that is just ever so logical. It is about the size of a boiler, and it replaces your current boiler. But instead of generating just heat, which is what you're used to, it generates heat and electricity. Electric you buy into your house is enormously inefficient. So to actually generate in your home the electricity in a established, safe technology becomes very, very sensible, because that electricity is not only half the price of what electricity is that you buy in, it's also considerably lower carbon, because what you're doing is making electricity but then using the heat in your home to heat your water, to heat your house. I think there is now a head of steam developing behind low carbon technology. You'll have seen starting to appear on roofs solar heat systems that take heat from the sun and put it into your hot water, particularly in the summer, when all you're really requiring is hot water. Those have taken 10 or 12 years to get up to speed. We've got 120,000 gas-safe qualified installers out there, but they have to learn different techniques. But already we're now starting to see that technology rolled out. We're starting to see it on more and more houses. And the same thing has really happened on the heating and boiler side. The condensing boiler came in. Now already boilers that can generate electricity coming onto the market. So I think that there was an understanding of the climate change issue. There was an understanding of the need to reduce carbon emissions and use energy more efficiently. And that understanding has now translated into technology that can deliver that. But I absolutely must stress that this all starts in the home. It starts from us all managing energy as responsibly as possible, insulating where possible, putting on a jumper and turning down the heat a couple of degrees where possible, thinking about the technology that you're using. It's a bit like a car and a car engine. You might have the most efficient engine going, but unless you have the total car package that is delivering the efficiencies, the whole thing's not going to work, and that's the way you have to think. I can see low carbon, efficient use of energy being part of our lives going on into the future. I think that there is an understanding, and I think there is now technology, and I think that as we go forward, we'll be using energy and reducing carbon emissions very effectively within this country.
With fossil fuels being used quicker than they are being created, it is clear that we must explore a new path forward. Rising fuel costs and political instability around oil and gas supplies provide further encouragement to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. From large-scale renewable energy plants to individual supplies and unique innovations that eliminate waste, there are a lot of options.
Navitron has a commitment to reducing CO2 emissions. We feel that by making these type of technologies, solar water heating, solar PV for example, available to the mass market at attractive prices, that we can help the members of the general public reduce their CO2 emissions to a much greater extent. I do believe that the general public, when they understand the issues involved, they are concerned, and I think the majority of people in the UK would do their best to try and accommodate that. So whereas perhaps not everybody has the money to spend on these systems, the government is making life easier by offering these feed-in tariffs and these renewable heat incentives, and these things give the consumer a much greater financial incentive as well as their moral or environmental incentive. So yes, I think people are becoming more aware, and I think we are moving in the right direction.
EU targets require member countries to have 30% of their energy from a renewable source by 2020. But for now, households can save money by thinking about those little details and embracing some of the big ideas that companies have developed to use energy more efficiently. The Energy Saving Trust is available for more in-depth guidance and information about how the UK is powered, and you should feel free to call their advice line to discuss your personal situation.
And you want to start looking at what more you can do for renewable energy. So my final tip for what you could be doing to help reduce your carbon impact and help you save money.
I would like to see every home in the UK being a low carbon home, so to reduce the amount of carbon emissions that it produces and also having as low energy bills as possible to make it easier for the householder.